peace, love, prosperity, health, wealth, and growth. I'm here with my man John Beats, UNABEATZ. This damn near my brother-in-law, but also my producer. And yeah, we about to get into this interview so people can get to know you more and let them know that they about to start seeing your face more, hearing different sounds from you, all types of stuff.
Definitely.
So let's start off with who you are and where you from.
Who I am and where I'm from. Alright, my name is John Arroyo Carey from Philadelphia, PA 215. Born and raised in North Philly. I was all over Philly. I was living in the Northeast when I was really young. I was born in North Philly, but my mother got caught up in a lot of drugs in North Philly at the time. There was a crazy heroin, epidemic, similar to the shit going on now. But anyway, me and her started moving. Instead of moving more northeast to get away from this shit that eventually messed my family up, drugs and all that, we kind of got sucked back into moving back into it.
Dang.
So that's where I was getting with neighborhoods and coming back towards this way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm still in North Philly anyway. I'm just coming from that. I was just born and raised around just all different people, white, black, Puerto Rican. I went to different schools. I started off in Catholic school, but then I got kicked out of there in grade school, and then I was in a public school for a minute. Then I got in a charter school, and then I dropped out of grade school, so I never really went to high school. I had a lot of fun growing up in Philly, different neighborhoods. My family was more towards Fishtown and Kensington, so I spent a lot of time with my cousins, hanging around with all different people. I spent a lot of time in the Northeast with friends from schools. I did a lot of just crazy things in different neighborhoods, got in a lot of trouble. I was a pretty wild kid because I didn't really have any male guidance.
Yeah.
My dad wasn't in my life, and
so it was the older people around you that's doing the same nut shit, teaching you the same shit that really taught you everything.
It was crazy, man. A lot of the younger dudes that I grew up with, we didn't have dads, so we were all in the same situation. And
so
it was crazy because
y'all learned from each other, rather than from somebody. That's crazy.
And we were learning from each other, but it was shit that we thought we knew. So it was we were all kind of misguided.
Yeah.
But we all eventually, learned. Some of us, grew up to actually figure out how shit goes. But man, it was just interesting because it didn't matter what color, just hanging in different family friends' houses and seeing how their families were, and unfortunately a lot of us didn't have dads, man, and that's one thing that really stuck out with my generation, the drugs, the pills, not just the heroin that took my mom out, but the pharmaceutical industry came with a lot of the pills for my generation. So a lot of my friends, just unfortunately just got sucked into that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too. How can you compare the drug scene in Philly now compared to back then?
Well, when I was younger, it's a lot worse. It's more of a problem now. But when I was younger, it was weed. People smoked weed. Pills. As some of us got older, some of us got into pills and all. But the comparison, I guess, would be, once that Molly stuff, started hitting and taking over ecstasy, and a lot of the heroin started really hitting again with the whole epidemic we see now with heroin. it's really just history repeating itself, but with like an upgraded version of some of these drugs. You know, there's just lethal doses of what, fentanyl now and shit. There's just like, the only difference is the horrible, you know, evolution of this poison that's fucking people up. It's getting, you know, stronger and stronger, and that is what, you know. But it's basically the same shit, man. It's really, it's increased now, and a lot of the kids think that a lot of this shit's cool. Yeah. You know, when I was younger, we would look at people like you were a fiend. You were like, I didn't want to be like that.
Do you think it's is easier access to drugs and more of it now than it was back then?
Yeah, man. Yeah, because now the government is literally giving you these drugs. Like they always were, but it was like, it was harder to get stuff, you know what I mean? But now you have, you know, kids on so many different pills that these doctors prescribe kids that, you know, you can get high off of. Yeah. You know, I knew kids that would, you know, trade these type of pills.
They got shit like the Whippets. That shit legal. Like, you go buy a Whippet out of a fucking smoke shop. What the fuck is a Whippet? I never tried it.
Oh man, that's crazy.
They sell Whippets inside the smoke shop.
Damn, I didn't even know that shit.
Yeah, so you know what it is. You know what a Whippet is.
Yeah, like I knew like huffing. Like,
I seen them making that shit on 60 Days In. Like,
yeah, man. That like Nas, the nitrous oxide, the balloons. You know, huffing certain shit in a bag. Crazy. See, I never did that shit. I never got into that. Like I did, you know, I did a lot of, you know, different shit, but I never did like the heroin, just because I seen it rip apart Philly and, you know, personally affect family members. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I never did that like whippet shit, huffing paint, nothing crazy. Like, they fucked around with some pills and, you know, acid, mushrooms. You know, tried the Molly one time. You know, did ecstasy at a party. But yeah, like I never got carried away with shit and made that shit like part of my, like, you know, every day goal to feel that way.
Yeah, some people that shit really affect them in the wrong way. Yeah, because of trauma, I feel like.
Sometimes I think with weed, man, it's all about having control. Like, of course, every day I'm a want this shit. Yeah. You know, people say it's an addiction, but you know, when you have control of it and when you really like utilize this plant and don't overdo it to where you're robbing family members and you're doing crazy shit to get this, it's like, nah, man, that's you're burning bridges, destroying your life with that.
That's a controlled substance.
But people, it depends on your mentality, man. Like, people are in a state of mind to where there are though people now that will do that type of shit for this. So we're dealing with just a mentality of people now that rely on certain things and get carried away. But, you know, in you know, with my experience, I just never let it fully control me like that, man.
Right.
And I'm just lucky for that, because I see a lot of people that I learn from like struggle with that.
So, alright, you gave me a lot of good information. I appreciate that. And
yeah, my childhood's pretty, you know, long story. That'll take like a whole damn book to write, man. But yeah, some of that up. Yeah.
Speaking of your childhood, I know you started doing music at a young age.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you started doing music. Like, what inspired you, and like, we can even talk about like the first day you did music.
Man, I don't even remember that, man. I just remember when I was a kid, my aunt bought me like some Radio Shack like tape player with a microphone attached to it, and it was like a kiddie one. It was like red and green and orange, and, you know, looked like some McDonald's.
Some Fisher Price.
Yeah, Fisher Price thing, right? And it had a little microphone on it, but it had a tape player. So I remember at the time, I was able to, like, tapes were popular. Mm-hmm. Like, CDs were out since the 80s.
I remember what you talk about. Like, I think I remember that shit.
Yeah, like, it was a 90s toy. It was a 90s, it had a microphone. It was a 90s toy, right? But I had tapes that I don't know where I came across the tapes. Probably my uncle, right? Probably one of my uncles, because I was always around my grandma, my uncles and shit. I seen like records and tapes from them. So I wound up playing these tapes, and then singing into the mic. And I wasn't like starting off rapping. I didn't really get into that till years later.
But but having that is what sparked the interest.
Yeah, the microphone and that tape player. So that's what like got me into not only just playing music, but using my voice too.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. And then I eventually started pressing the record button, and then recording it over tapes, and then playing it back. I was like, whoa, yo, man.
Imagine if you had the recordings still.
I know.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, I don't got them. I got some shit from like years later, but.
So what made it serious after that? Like after that one interest?
What made it serious, man? I think it was this weird. All right, what made it serious was this weird desire. Like once I started going to school, first grade, whatever. Like once I started school, I always had this desire to put a band together. I always wanted to put like a rock band together because I like listening to older grunge bands that were on the radio at the time, like Green Day, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins. This was like when Kurt Cobain was alive, and he was the shit at the time. He was like, all these bands were on the radio dominating like the rock scene. So I would hear these like through my uncles which would play like that type of stuff when we would like go places or on MTV at the time in the house. And that sparked my interest in always wanting to do that, and with people, be on stage or perform or do something with playing instruments. And the whole rock thing, converted into hip hop as I got older because I heard a record of my cousin's house, and I don't know who it was, man. It was hip hop though. I want to say Biggie for some reason because his dad played a lot of Biggie, and Biggie was popular at the time.
Yeah.
So I want to say Biggie, man. So when it comes to hip hop, it was either Biggie or Old Dirty Bastard. But I just remember something just sticking out when I heard this shit. But it was like the mid '90s, and this shit stuck out, and I was like, I really like this. And then I came across the Beastie Boys, which were doing rock music, and I was already familiar with some of that, so they turned me on to Run DMC, LL Cool J, all that, and that just opened a wormhole.
Yeah, so
that opened the door to the whole.
You just collecting all this different music in your brain, and it's inspiring you more and more to do this shit.
My aunt used to listen when she would drop me off at school in grade school in the morning. She would listen to old soul and funk and shit, like Archie Bell and the Drells, the OJs, certain old soul bands from the '70s. So when I started listening to certain hip hop, I started hearing the songs that my aunt would play.
Being sampled. Yeah,
being sampled, and then somebody rhyming. I started hearing the Beastie Boys, and I'm like, yo, Mom, listen to this song. It's the song that you like. But all she would hear is that rap shit, and she's like, I don't like that, John. I don't like that rap stuff. They're cursing, and so... Yeah, but I would like to say that once I heard a record, my cousin, by the way, played a record, man. That first hip hop joint I heard, it was either Biggie or Old Dirty Bastard. I know it's maybe a voice comparison different there, but I just forget, man. It was so long ago, I was so young. But it was a record, and that's another thing that stuck out. So once I came across records like years later, I was like, damn. But by the time I was 12, man, that's when I really got into the records and shit. But I can't even tell you how young I was when I first heard like the hip hop. It started by hearing like, just shit in Philly, man. I remember like Salt and Pepper really stuck out. Just songs that were popular on the radio in the early '90s. Like,
do you remember putting together your first beats yourself? Or the first time you've been in a real studio or like something like that?
I remember my first time like actually putting a beat together. I think it was in Sam Ash Music Store at Franklin Mills, or Philadelphia Mills.
So they've been out for a minute.
Yeah, man, and they would have beat machines on display. They don't really got them now. Yeah. But they would have all different ones, right? This one was one of the first ones I seen. and I eventually got it.
At Sam Ash.
It's Sam Ash, man.
That's crazy.
And I'm about to tell you something else, something crazier. This one right here, I seen years later after this one came out, and I wound up going there, right, and seeing this one, thinking I'm gonna get that one day, right. I eventually saved up the money and got it. And this is the same one that I seen like maybe a year prior that was on the shelf, right? And
the same one.
Yeah, and when I went to buy it, the dude said, "We don't have any new ones." So, you know, you're like,
that was like a used one?
Yeah, I still got it. Still got the same one. So, if you were ever in Franklin Mills around like, I don't know, man, like 2006, 2005, 2000.
That joint was sitting in there.
6, playing this. This is it. It's the same one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But
and that's the same one that RZA used to make beats.
Not the same exact one, but yeah. No, hold on. I mean, not. This isn't the actual machine.
But like.
Yeah, this is the same exact kind that he used.
Right.
Yeah, to make a soundtrack to Kill Bill. And he used it for, I think, another movie. I don't know which one though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I didn't learn all that till like years later. And then once I realized, like, damn, I'm just so happen to be a Wu-Tang fan, and you know, I didn't learn until I actually looked it up.
So you automatically went from making beats yourself. You didn't go to a studio.
Nah, man, my bad. Yeah, the whole studio, the first studio experience wasn't until somebody heard.
So you started yourself, like you got the beat machines, took it to the crib, like fuck it, I'm putting it together.
Yeah, man. My aunt, I believe, got me this beat machine when I was young, man, and I started with this.
Yeah. I
think she got me this for my birthday or something.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you know, if it wasn't for her, like man, she listened to the damn walls vibrating, because I always had music in the basement. Ever since I was a kid, she would give me pots and pans to bang on, play fake drums, and she put up with all that all the way up until the house literally vibrating with 20 heads in the basement, ciphering, freestyling, and she dealt with all that, man. Just like, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have pursued this the way I did.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for her playing that soul music, and it's so crazy because even though she may not understand that shit now, but you know, like, yeah, it's
and
crazy.
That shit goes to everything stems from love. Like, it really does. Like, everything stems from love.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like, you know, unfortunately, like, with her sister passing and all, like, her, you know, something great came from, you know, some of that, like,
mm-hmm.
you know, her man passing, like, you know, something great came from that, man. So,
right.
Like, you know, I definitely, like, want to give credit to her.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this music stuff, you know, my uncles, too, if it wasn't for them playing some of that, like, stuff, like, they had records, you know. I remember I would go in their room sometimes and play these records when they were at work or whatever. I would stay with my grandma.
On the turntables.
They didn't have turntables. They would have.
It was just the one joint.
They had a stereo system with a turntable on
top.
Right? And I would play these different records, and they were like really like, it wasn't like crazy heavy metal shit. It was like some good psychedelic rock, grunge rock, you know, like 80s rock. And I'm like, yeah, some of this I liked it, but I remember seeing like candles,
like some Beatles and shit like that.
I remember seeing candles on their record cases, and like some of them melted and shit. And I didn't know nothing about weed then, but I remember like I knew like years later, like, yo, I remember seeing incense too, like incense like being burnt and the ashes falling, and I'm like, they were smoking weed. They were smoking weed after thinking back and knowing, like, they were smoking weed, man. And then, like, here I am. I got older and now they're doing the same shit.
Shit.
But, yeah, man, the music has always been, like, you know, part of my life in several different ways. And, you know, that, you know, with a lot of shit I've been through, like, in life, that music shit just kept me going. You know, it still keeps me going today. You know, no matter how crazy the world is in 2020.
Keep you vibrating on your frequency.
Yeah, and like once I started dialing into certain frequencies, man, I realized that you know, this music has a lot of power, man. It has a lot of power behind it that I think a lot of people are sleeping on right now.
Now, how can you compare the music today to when you was making music back in the day? Like, how can you compare what's going on now to hip hop back then?
Well, now,
because you watch generations and generations of music go by, like,
well, yeah, only
from start to finish.
Only like two generations, probably, seeing from, like, you know, the 90s and the 2000s. But well, nah, yeah, probably, like, I think from when I was younger, like around, like, you know, let's say the 2000s, right? From what I've noticed, around like 2010, it just started really changing when it came to, you know, the hip hop culture. As, like, you know, you started you didn't see turntables and, you know, certain things incorporated into hip hop anymore. By the time I got into all this was all old. So 2000, all right, when I got turntables, it was like I was 11 years old, right? And I think my aunt and my grandma got me turntables for my 11th birthday. And I started spinning my own records after, you know, realizing there was other genres. After, like, spinning my uncle's records and stuff, I started buying records and, you know, buying hip hop stuff. Once all that, like, stopped, once, like, all the, you know, graffiti and, you know, certain shit in hip hop videos and breakdancing and, you know, rapping a certain way, like, once all that changed, like, once all that, like, stopped, man, that's why Nas said in 2005, you know, hip hop is dead. That's why he actually came out with an album called Hip Hop is Dead. Like, that culture no longer really, you know, exists. It does, man. It's worldwide. But what I'm trying to say is, like, once I seen that change, man, it was just like a fast decline ever since 2010, I'm gonna say. In talent and creativity, you know, utilizing just certain elements that hip hop had, you know, and like I said, still does around the world. It's just the United States. This is where it got pretty messed up here as a culture here, because, mind you, the rest of the world, they're all still appreciating, you know, me doing that, or somebody doing some spray can stuff, or some beatbox stuff with their mouth, or some breakdance b-boys and b-girls, like, doing some, you know, crazy shit, breaking, making up new moves and all that. Like, see, it was just constant elevation. It was constant creativity. That declined around, like, 2010, man. And, like, that's where I'm just, like, the comparison, it's just completely different.
You would just put a human being in the studio and they're artists.
Yo, it's just completely different, man. It's like
they're an influencer.
now it's hip hop. Like, I personally, hip hop is not dead to me.
Yeah,
I'd like to say it's on life support. Like, in the mainstream, hip hop is dead, and I'm hoping that's what Nas was really trying to, you know, convey there. But hip hop itself, you know, me and you coming from Philly, yo, everywhere we go.
Listen, I grew up wanting to break dance, wanting to do all the old shit.
We may not see that on the corner.
Watching break-ins, being inspired by that shit. Like, so when I see the difference between the shit that I know is good to the shit that's just normalized, I be like,
we may not see breaking on the corner anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see that shit growing up.
But like, you can catch b-boys here and there still.
Yeah, no, they still have gatherings and all.
But it's like,
underground shit.
It's not praised like it used to be. It's not popular.
It's not mainstream, man. Yeah. It's not mainstream to where it's influencing the people around. It's not
like people not doing that shit out of love no more. Like, people doing that shit just to be a part of something.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that are just trying to be down, especially like graffiti writers and you know, certain producers even, man. It's a culture, like, it's a whole, like, what I was saying about, like, me and you being, you know, from where we're from, everywhere we go, we see hip hop though. You know, it's a lifestyle. It's not just a popular, you know, music genre. Hip hop's a lifestyle. So we see the graffiti all around us.
For real.
Hip hop is still alive. You know, when I was on
Memphis,
Memphis,
every time I go to Graffiti Pier, somebody in there spray painting some new shit.
when I was on Memphis Street, there was somebody that went by like clockwork. I guess coming home like back and forth from work every day with a boombox, and they were bumping like you know, like Nas, DMX, all like some like.
And it's fucked up because
hip-hop.
Somebody can be walking around doing that shit today, and they gonna look at them like they slow or something because of all the shit that's not
he
out there no more. Like
he wasn't all like, you know, decked out with some tracksuit shit, looking like he's from like the '80s or with a boombox. He was walking just with it, like just. Like I think on his back or something.
Yeah, they got new version of boomboxes.
Yeah,
and
that's
like
what I'm
Bluetooth.
saying.
That shit, I like shit like
that's
that.
That's hip hop, and I've seen it still.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, it's not dead.
It's definitely not. First of all, they bringing back all the old styles and shit. Now people starting to wear bucket hats more.
I know.
Loose pants, bell bottoms.
I seen this. I seen a meme. Right, it said, yeah, they're bringing back the '90s style, but not lyrically.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like
the only people like. About generations and the music and stuff, what advice can you give to the younger generations coming up doing creative things like making music and rapping and stuff like that, and even industry advice too, like legal stuff?
Advice would definitely be to be yourself, and don't ever let anybody tell you what to do when it comes to creativity and being yourself. Some advice with the newer generation when it comes to when it comes to hip hop culture, you know, especially if you're doing hip hop music, definitely educate yourself on what you're getting into. You know, it's not just, you know, like I said, a genre of music. It's a lifestyle. It's a, you know, culture universally. So yeah, hip hop is very powerful. You know, that can change your life. That could destroy your life if you don't understand what is there. Like what how much power you have when it comes to, you know, being an artist, being a person, just, you know, in general.
Some people say being an artist is dangerous now. Like,
well, yeah, because you have a power, you have an opportunity to say anything you want to the world. The world's listening. You know, at this point, you can pull a phone out and upload it, and you can say anything you want to the world. What do you want to say?
Mm-hmm.
You know, do you really want to say what the last man's saying, or the last girl, or whatever girl you think everybody likes right now? And why would you want to be like that person everybody likes? Why wouldn't you want to be yourself, but everybody like you for your own uniqueness? You know, like that's where, especially with hip hop, it's like hip hop was about being unique, and, you know, my advice would just be to, you know, stay true to that. You know, everybody wants to do this, oh, I'm different, I want to put something on crazy, stick out, look at me, but
just be
do
genuine.
you really want, be genuine with it.
Be genuine and
you know,
unique.
like at this point, everybody's literally like selling their souls, you know, like to just,
and don't even realize it.
Yeah, like the bar on in my opinion, the bar on creativity has been lowered due to everybody just trying to chase that money. Right. And I understand that certain levels of poverty have people do things, but, you know, like, you gotta maintain, like, you gotta hold on to your soul in the process, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like, during the struggle, don't let the devil take your soul.
Right.
Don't sell your soul in the process. I know this is a struggle, but you know what I mean? Like, when it comes to how much power we have, though, here, like, when it comes to something such as hip-hop or any genre of that, it could be something very, you know, powerful with music, and that's a universal language. So that's that, whatever you're saying, even if, you know, somebody doesn't understand it, they can feel it somehow. If you listen to other rappers in other countries, you may not understand what they're saying, but if they put it to a beat somehow, and if you're into that music,
I catch myself jamming to Spanish music all the time. I don't know
Yeah,
I don't even know a lot of
just,
Spanish.
yeah, that too. Like just other genres of music.
The vibrations be there. That shit is
there,
rhythm.
yeah. So we're working with something powerful, and you know, my advice would just to be, you know, educate yourself on what we're working with when it comes to music, history, all genres, all, you know, just if you're doing music, if you really have a passion and love for music, you know,
Shit,
know your
instruments.
craft, you know, master your craft. Don't use it, don't
Right.
abuse it.
I see a lot of artists starting to play with instruments now. Like, I would say that too. Like, start practicing instruments.
Yeah,
'Cause that's where rhythm come from. Like.
definitely, man. I definitely want to get more instruments
Mhm.
for the studio because, you know, I love the beat machines and the, you know, turntables and computer shit, but
Right.
you know, in reality, like all that shit is in here. Like,
He pulled out the rain stick. Right.
well, it's just in nature. It's all around
Mhm.
us. Everything's music, man. You can use anything you want for music. Like,
So I think that was a good talk, and I want everybody to be able to find you on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, and also YouTube, and let them know about some future things you got planned,
yeah,
music-wise.
Well, yeah, my name's UNABEATZ. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook at UNABEATZ.
And where can they find your beats at too?
Beats, BeatStar. I'm on BeatStar.com. I sell beats through BeatStar.com. I sell beats personally through email. I sell. I also provide different services. You know, studio time, mix and mastering, video production. You know, photo, all that. But you know, I specialize in just building with serious artists who really want to bring something unique to the table. So that's my future goals, man. Like, I've been doing this for a while, and you know, you can definitely look me up and find me. I'm on the internet. You know, I got content on YouTube, but it's not much. It's you know, it's enough to let y'all know where I'm coming from and what I do.
And there's more soon to come.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot to come. And if you want to, you know, reach out and build, definitely just look me up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Peace, love, prosperity, health, wealth, and growth. This is my man UNABEATZ. It's me, Blaze, Ogazer Productions, and we out. Peace.